welcome back to our expert series on Beyond Clean, all about cleaning chemistries. We're joined by Michael Matthews, our cleaning chemistry expert, clinical education specialist from Healthmark, Getinge company, to talk about the spectrum of pH and where our cleaning chemistry should fit into that, where our instruments are safe fitting into that, and get into, again, this is the nitty gritty science of cleaning chemistries. Not something we think about every day, but something that absolutely has an impact on the longevity of our instruments. So, as we get into this, Michael, I want to talk about what are the different pH levels of some of our cleaning chemistries.
Yeah, you're really going to see two, kind of three. And of course, if we think back to, junior high school chemistry, the pH scale is from 0 to 14, with 7 being in the middle, and that's what we call neutral. Meaning it's not acidic. If it's 7 or below, it's more and more acidic, and as you get to 0, which is extreme, and then as it goes up, it becomes more and more alkaline. Now, and things like drinking water are in your neutral area. And neutral tends to be, it's not on either side. It's very balanced, and that is one of our cleaning chemistry options is a neutral pH. Now, the interesting thing is that as we kind of move the other direction from 7 to 14, we get into the alkalines. And there are mildly alkaline detergents and there are high alkalinity detergents. And most of the time, you're going to see more on the mild side than the high. And you say, well, why would we want to choose that versus that balance? It's because alkaline cleaners are extremely good at cleaning blood, particularly. Like you will not get instruments cleaner, particularly on stainless steel. They will not get cleaner than they will get with an alkaline detergent. And so they are very, very good at getting rid of blood off of stainless steel surfaces. Uh, but there's some other challenges that come with that. So why wouldn't we just all use alkaline exclusively then?
Right.
Well,
Makes
because there's
sense.
other things that have to be brought into consideration than just the actual raw cleaning power.
hmm Now, what are some of those considerations that a facility or department leader should weigh when they're looking at the type of detergent they need to have?
Yeah, so there's really two primary considerations, and one is material compatibility. And so I was very particular when I answered the previous question to say better at cleaning stainless steel surfaces.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, and that's because material compatibility with alkaline detergents becomes a really big deal because certain materials, some of which are common in sterile processing, don't react well to having an alkaline detergent on them. And probably the most common of these is aluminum. And we all know aluminum, particularly a type of aluminum called anodized aluminum, is used as for the material that we use in our containers, our instrument containers. Anodized aluminum does not react well to alkaline detergents. In fact, it kind of reacts the same way that stainless steel reacts to chloride ions or salt, where it eats this protective layer and then exposes the metal underneath, and then that metal corrodes. It's the exact same concept, just a slightly different chemistry. And so, like, you would not want to use an alkaline detergent, especially a high alkalinity detergent, when you're cleaning anodized aluminum. That's a real problem that can destroy those devices. And you know that this is starting to happen when you see sort of like a white powdery substance on your containers. Like that means that that protective layer is getting destroyed, and it's probably a pH issue. Uh, Alkalinity also affects things like optics, like rigid scope glass, for example. It can affect rubbers that are used in gaskets for things like power tools. And so when it comes to that material compatibility issue, that's one big challenge with alkaline detergents. The other one is the technicians themselves. And so, if you think about, anything that's on the scale more towards an acid or more towards an alkaline getting on your skin, it can do everything from just be a mild irritant to completely destroying the skin, just depending upon how acidic or alkaline it is. And then, especially if you think about getting splashed in the face. And so you would only ever use an alkaline detergent in a sealed container, namely your washer, because you absolutely do not want your technicians physically sticking their hands in there and cleaning and splashing things around, and, 'cause all this stuff is getting on them and it's dangerous, right? And so you definitely don't want to use that if you're doing manual cleaning. Your manual cleaning should always be neutral to protect the technician more than
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely. Because I mean, working back in decontam, you're going to come out of there with splash, soak through. I mean, if you're back there for your whole shift,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's a huge challenge. Even if your PPE is appropriate and you're donning and doffing the right way, there's always that potential too. So I'm glad you brought that up because there's the patient safety and the instrument safety, but the employee safety is paramount as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when we look at when it is appropriate to use a alkaline detergent, what are some of the specialties that may be necessary, or you get a better outcome using that type of cleaning chemistry?
Well, like I said, it's great at cleaning stainless steel, especially cleaning blood off of stainless steel. And so, if you are doing, if you're able to separate your loads out and get loads that are primarily just stainless steel instruments, which I mean, even with all the specialty instruments that are out there, the vast majority of what you clean in sterile processing, on the scale of like 90%, is just stainless steel. And so, like alkaline detergents, there's nothing better at cleaning blood off of stainless steel than an alkaline detergent. So it's like you've got this thing that'll do an amazing job at 90% of your instruments in most facilities, but you might have to take out some other things in order to run that effectively and not damage your other types of equipment. And so again, this kind of goes back to that concept of one size fits all. Well, one load type does not fit all in your washers either, right? So again, like you might need to start thinking about, like, we have like these washers and they all have like multiple cycle types,
Hmm.
but how often do we just use the same one over and over and over again,
Same one.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's that
same one.
instrument
One
cycle.
size fits all, right,
Yep.
baby? And so, and like again, like if you're able to separate things out and use those different cycle types and those different chemistries, the more targeted you are, the more effective the process is going to be.
And that's been a through line for this series is it's right sizing the chemistry to the task, to the environment, and how we're using it. So, do you have any tips or tricks when we're using both? Let's say we have a facility that the IFU requires both a pH neutral detergent and an alkaline detergent. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to keep those workflows separate and distinct?
Man, it's got to go back to employee education and setting those technicians up for success. Again, like most technicians, like we talked about in the very first episode, the only training they get is this is the stuff that gets the instruments clean, or stick it in the washer and hit this button and just go, right? And again, the more we focus on the why behind what we do, the more it's going to enable those technicians to be able to think critically about what they're doing and then fit the right process for the right outcome.
It's raising that tech level IQ to make sure that we can defend and explain and really understand what's going on in the sink, in the washer, in the cart washer, each and every time. So, thank you for making this honestly simple, approachable, and breaking down a concept, pH, enzymes, all of this throughout this series. So, the next element, this piece of this puzzle that we're going to be tackling is going from the manual side over to the mechanical side and how our cleaning chemistries are right sized, right tool for the right job to get the best outcome. So, thank you, Michael. And if you're just catching up on this series, make sure to go back and listen to the full series because each piece builds on that tech IQ for our cleaning chemistry knowledge. So, thank you.